Sonic Advance 2 is a side-scrolling platformer similar in gameplay and style to the original Sonic Advance. The player controls Sonic the Hedgehog, who can unlock 3 other playable characters: Cream the Rabbit and her KO-named Cheese, Tails, and Knuckles the Echidna after defeating Doctor Eggman in specific boss battles. A 5th character, Amy Rose, can be unlocked after completing the game with each character. Each character has their own unique moves and abilities. Sonic can perform an insta-shield that protects him for a brief moment. Cream and Tails can fly. Knuckles can glide and climb, and Amy can destroy enemies using a hammer. In the tradition of Sonic games, gameplay consists of moving quickly through levels. Levels in the game are divided into 7 zones, each consisting of 2 acts of normal gameplay, then a boss battle, where the player fights Dr. Eggman in order to stop Eggman from taking over the world. The player collects rings as a form of health. When the player is attacked by an enemy, the rings bounce in all directions. If the player is hit by an enemy and has no rings, they lose a life. A character will also lose a life if they fall into a gap, get crushed, or exceed an act's 10-minute limit. The game ends when all lives are lost. The player can also collect 7 special rings to access special stages, where Chaos Emeralds are found. Special stages are on a 3D plane, where the character tries to obtain a set number of rings before time runs out in order to collect a Chaos Emerald. After beating all zones and finding all 7 Chaos Emeralds with Sonic, an alternate final act is unlocked. When all of the Chaos Emeralds are collected with the other characters, a sound test feature and a boss time attack feature are unlocked, along with the Tiny KO Garden, or Toys for Cheese, can be purchased with rings earned in-game. Various minigames can also be played in the Tiny KO Garden. Other game modes include a time attack mode where the player tries to beat a specific act in the shortest amount of time, and a multiplayer mode, where players can race each other through unlocked acts. Sonic Advance 2 received generally favorable reviews, according to review aggregator Metacritic. The game was also commercial successful, selling approximately 176,541 copies in Japan, 740,000 copies in the United States, and 100,000 copies in the United Kingdom, for a total of 1.16 million copies. The visuals and presentation were one of the most praised aspects of the game. GameSpot considered the game's graphics to be a major advance from the previous game, feeling that it took more advantage of the Game Boy Advance's capabilities, and praised the improved character animations, favorably comparing them to that of a cartoon. IGN offered similar praise, calling its visuals more vibrant, bright, and vivid, and also spoke positively of its peppy soundtrack. This sentiment was echoed by Allgame. Nintendo World Report called the music catchy and enjoyable, though they criticized the reuse of certain themes from the original Sonic Advance. Reviewers commended the game's replay value and large-level design in comparison to older titles. IGN admired the massive designs and felt the levels were much more balanced compared to prior games. They also praised the crafty paths for encouraging multiple playthroughs. GameSpot agreed, praising the method of collecting special rings to access special stages and unlock special features for being fun and rewarding. OneUp.com considered this addition interesting and called it not bad for the technical limitations of the Game Boy Advance. Allgame, however, felt that the main acts were unoriginal and too short. The game's difficulty polarized critics. Nintendo World Report began their review by warning players of the difficulty and felt it spoiled an otherwise good game. GameSpot described Sonic Advance 2 as the hardest game in the entire series, calling its auto-scrolling boss fights positively cutthroat, though they did believe that the game's amount of playable characters helped reduce this difficulty. The difficulty was cited as the game's only problem by IGN. OneUp, however, considered it a positive aspect, calling it a welcome breath of fresh difficulty in this modern age of gaming. Of the game as a whole, GameSpot felt Sega's risks to deviate from past Sonic games in terms of difficulty and size paid off handsomely. Nintendo Power stated that, while Sonic Advance 2 did not present significant advances beyond the first game, it was still a solid action title. Despite this, Allgame called it a boring, unoriginal retread, and more subsonic than supersonic.